My march started. Man, you don't mind that, do you?
No, it's cool. Hey, folks. This is Lindsay Huddleston with Sports Psychology Solutions. Back in the building. We're over at the Sharp Blade. We're going to get started. We've got a great lineup of folks who'll be joining us. Going to be joined by Deshaun Tate. Right now, right on time, my guy Deshaun Tate, basketball analyst, doing some great things. We got some other folks who'll be joining us, Raheem Anderson. We got the whole fam in the building. We'll tell you about the next guys up. But right now, Deshaun, how you doing? Let me take you off mute. You doing okay?
No, I'm outstanding, man. Appreciate you for having me. Been looking forward to this all week, man. So I'm ready to get started.
Well, listen, let me do the introduction. Deshaun Tate, the man of the hour of Tate's podcast, basketball analyst. You can catch him at Tate's Tate. And my goodness, if you check out his program, there's no telling who will come up. It can be Jay Billis. It can be Fran Fraschilla. It could be Steph Greenberg. You know, it could be millions of people. Mike, it could be millions of people who come on in. But tell me what you've been doing and what your focus has been, and give us the idea of this road to the Final Four as we get ready to watch the tip-off between Michigan State and Ohio State.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to get ready to add Lindsay Huddleston to that list of those names, too, by the way, at some point. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to, you know, what's going to happen this year in terms of just around college basketball. I mean, and if you haven't really been seeing it, and I know a lot of people, that's going to really be their primarily go-to after next weekend when the Super Bowl, and everybody's going to be looking like, okay, well, what's next? College basketball is next? Perfect. So, I mean, your consensus of winning a national championship, most people are probably all but giving Gonzaga the national championship at this point. Baylor's a number two. I think the elephant in the room question is, are you taking Gonzaga and Baylor, or are you taking the field? And the field hasn't necessarily been all that impressive this year, specifically the typical blue bloods. I got a feeling that we're probably going to see more NBA scouts in the NIT in the event that there is one that might be Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, Michigan State, and all these other teams than you would at the NCAA tournament, kind of halfway facetiously speaking. But, you know, there's been some of those traditional powerhouse programs that have struggled. Then you have some others where it's paying right now to be old and stay old. Some of the more experienced teams that are not dipping as much into the one and done has been the most successful this year. And so with that, I think that is going to make out to be for a very interesting and intriguing March Madness. You know what? I want to say something real quick. You know, the crazy part is that we haven't had to wait until March to get some madness. Like, it's been madness ever since this thing has tipped off in like November, December, you know? And honestly, even longer. It's been madness ever since last year, where we really wasn't sure exactly who the clear-cut number one team in the country was, much like this year. So you've been getting plenty of madness all the way across the board, man, if you're a big advocate for college basketball. And I like it better that way anyway. It presents a little bit of a challenge.
No, you're absolutely right, Deshaun. And you kept a great eye and a great watch on everything that's been going on. Let's talk about Michigan State specifically as they get ready to tip off against Ohio State in just a few moments. Yeah. Talk about that. Tell us what you think today's matchup is going to be like.
Yeah, I think it's going to be rough for Michigan State, man, just because of the fact that Ohio State is, they're a very physical team, arguably the most fit in terms of physicality, the most physical team in the Big Ten. Um, and they have some experience that you have to have in order to go, make a deep run in the NCAA tournament and so forth. And because Michigan State has that target on their backs, if you will, being the back-to-back-to-back conference champions in this conference, in the most competitive, in the most physical and aggressive um, conference in college basketball, you're going to be circled on everybody's calendar still. You're still going to be highlighted on everybody's calendar still. And Ohio State, they want some too because they haven't forgotten when it was senior day and they came into the Jack Breslin Student Event Center and Cassius Winston running over to the middle of the floor and kissing the floor on them. Like they're not
Yeah,
forgetting
and Chris
about that.
Holman had an issue with that. He took issue.
Yeah,
He later
exactly.
apologized, but he had issue with that. You're right. But talk about
Correct.
that.
So they haven't forgotten about that. And this is the perfect time for, if you're Ohio State, you do what you're supposed to do. You beat up on a team that's down. You kick them when they're down. You don't be the team that's, oh, everybody else beat this team except for you. Like, no, you join everybody else in beating this team and capitalizing on them when they're not having a good season. So that's what I expect. I think the spread is sitting somewhere around 6.5. I expect for this to be right at or around a double-digit win for Ohio State. Um, and then I know Michigan State got a couple players out as well, and I'm interested to see who's going to be playing. They got to find some identity. Michigan State right now is a team that uh, I think what you have to do is you have to put yourself in position and remember the guys that paved the way. Remember the guys that set the standard and set precedents in this program. Every time you put that uniform on, if another team is more talented than you, all right, so be it. But what can't happen is they can't out effort you. They can't have bigger heart than you. They can't have more second chance points than you. They can't out physical you. They can't, I get the feeling that when some teams see Michigan State on the other side of the floor warming up, it's like they got a napkin wrapped around their neck with a steak in one hand and a fork in the other hand, and it kind of look like one of them cartoons, and a napkin wrapped around their neck, and they ready to feast. It's
Oh,
time to
way to
eat.
get in there.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't think that it helps with Michigan State's current roster, where I just don't see anybody really outplaying anybody. Everybody appears to kind of be checking into the game and doing the same thing. Who's the guy that's going to be coming out of that timeout or that huddle saying, you know what, we're Michigan State. We are the back-to-back, conference champions, and we're not going for this. I'm ready to go to war. If y'all with me, then let's go take the floor right now. But if y'all not, then stay at home. And I think that that's what they're missing, if I'm just being honest. I think they're missing heart.
Deshaun, stay with us, man. We got a few minutes until tip off. I'm over
No
here at
doubt.
the Chevrolet Barbershop, getting it in with the fam. We'll talk about the collective and a great story about how three great young men, along with their spouses, have raised three greater young men and women, and they're doing some great things. So let me ask you a difficult question. People are kind of dancing around.
Mm.
What is the status of Michigan State making the NCAA tournament, Deshaun?
Right now, as of today, at 12:55 p. Eastern Standard Time, what's today, the 31st of January? I think today's the 31st of January, or is it the 30th?
Today is the 31st by my calculation.
31st. Listen, they're not in a good place of making the NCAA tournament. I was almost about to ask you if that was a trick question. When you're in a situation, dude, like Michigan State right now, it's hurting them because your best game or your best win, I was gonna say, is probably Duke, which if I would have told you that in any other year, you probably would have called me, you probably would have called me crazy to think that that's probably it's probably a bad win at this point, almost to an extent. And I think that Duke is turning it around, and they will turn it around and whatever, what have you. But you just don't have enough of those. Michigan State is gonna get more wins to make the NCAA tournament, to effort making the NCAA tournament. Ultimately, I think that they will get in, but I think that they're a lot closer to not getting in than people think that they are, because of the simple fact that when you think about all the teams that won't get in, and you hear all the analysts say North Carolina, Duke, and Kentucky, they always leave Michigan State out. You can't leave out Michigan State. I think that this is a program amongst Gonzaga, Duke, Michigan State. I think there's one other one, maybe a Cincinnati or somewhere. They've got the longest streaks of making the NCAA tournament at almost somewhere close to 25 years or somewhere in that range. Kansas is another one of those. So with that being said, that's on the line at this point. And I do think that they'll gather some more wins. But the problem is that because they're playing in arguably or inarguably the best, the most competitive, and the most physical conference in the country, you have more losses coming too. And Michigan State's not trending in the right direction. Duke is trending in the right direction because they're on a 2 or 3 game win streak or a 2 game win streak and about to make it 3. North Carolina's trending in the right direction. The love that Michigan State might potentially get from the NCAA committee, and we'll find out exactly how much it values, is 2 things. Number one, Michigan State is a brand. That's number one. And then number 2, is that they play in the toughest conference in the country. So that's something that'll help them. But are they a lock to be in? If we're going off lock, they are much closer to being a lock at not making the tournament than they are a lock at making the NCAA tournament. But there's still a chance for them to turn some things around. It just doesn't help that coming back from COVID. I'm sorry, I get a little long-winded. I'm passionate.
You okay? You okay?
I'm passionate, baby. But I think the thing is when you come right back from COVID, not being able to play, not being able to practice, okay, and you come right into a 3-game road trip, one in Piscataway, New Jersey, at Rutgers, which at the RAC is not an easy place to play. You turn around and you play at Value City Arena in Columbus, Ohio, against one of the best teams in this conference, who you just kissed the floor on them on senior night on the very last game, okay, from last year. And then the other one is at Iowa, who's pissed off after a loss the other night and about to drop out of the top 10, and they're trying to put themselves in consideration. So what we're not going to do here, though, Lens, is for the people who are listening, our diehard Spartans fans, and I'm going to let you transition after this, but let me tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to use COVID as an excuse, Lens. We're not going to use COVID as an excuse, because guess what? COVID is in Waco, Texas, where Baylor number 2 in the country. COVID is also in Spokane, Washington, the number 1 team in the country, in Gonzaga. It's right up the street, as you can see, number 4 team in the country in Ann Arbor and A Square with Michigan, all of that, Texas, Austin. It's not an excuse. This is a team that has to play with some pride, and we're about to find out literally within seconds exactly how much pride these guys really have.
No, you're exactly right, and I really appreciate your thorough go-between and talking about that. And right, COVID can't be an excuse.
Very unfair for them, for this fan base. I'm really disappointed in this fan base, Lens, calling out Tom Izzo, talking about he should get his job yanked. He's only coming off of back-to-back Big Ten championships and a Final Four the last time we've seen one. I'm very disappointed in this fan base.
But Deshaun, everybody got short memories. Before we let you go, man, I just want to thank you for coming on. Everyone watching, this is Deshaun Tate of Tate Hoops. You can follow him on IG, Twitter, and like I said, along with him giving a great analysis, he has guests from all over, the Jay Billises of the world, the Seth Greenbergs, I said Seth Greenberg earlier, the Seth Greenbergs of the world, the Fran Fraschillas, all want to come and share his platform. We've also been joined by my guy, Raheem Anderson. He's going to step in a second, and we got the collective. He's part of the collective with a great group of young men I'm going to bring to you. But with that, Deshaun, we're getting ready to tip off. We're going to watch this game. We'll try to check back in with you later if we can. We're going to have Austin Cooper, powerlifter, who's going to be helping us out too. Deshaun, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. I appreciate our relationship. Any final words before you sign off?
Nah, just make sure that you subscribe to what I like to call the best, the most entertaining, the most informational, and the most educational basketball content on the planet in the form of a podcast. It's called Tate's Take, and you find it anywhere that you find your favorite podcast. Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Red Circle, Stitcher. We stream live on every and anything. So make sure that you go and hit the subscribe button. Tell your mama, tell your baby mama, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell everybody, man. We grateful over here, and we're definitely appreciative of you and sharing this space with me on this platform, my brother. Keep doing a great job.
I appreciate it. Tell everybody. Tell your mama and your baby mama. That's what's up. We got Deshaun Tate with Tate. You know we're going to see you in the future, man. I appreciate you. Stay up. We'll catch up. Thanks for blessing us, okay?
You as well.
Okay, folks, without any further ado, we got a great group of individuals here. I'm over here at the Sharp Blade. Proprietor is Jermaine Hammond. I'm going to have a lot of time to talk about these guys and all the great things they've been doing. We have Raheem Anderson, who's joined us. He's coming from his studio. We don't know if are you in Miami or Vegas? Where you at right now?
Hey, in my mind, I could be where I want to be. I'm in the living room right now.
The living room. Okay, good. Well,
Detroit.
What was that? 18605 McNicholas. 18625 McNicholas. Don't worry, we'll put that up there. And I'm just happy to have this opportunity to bring this great group of young men in here, young and old, if you will. Guys, I gotta admit, have been people I've been knowing for some years, and also for a short amount of time. So what I'll do, without further ado, is, I'm gonna go to you, and if you can just introduce yourself, and we'll just go all the way through like so, and then that'll allow me to be able to bring it back and go from there. So I'll start with Elijah Rozier. Go ahead and make an introduction of yourself, if you don't mind.
Well, my name is Elijah Rozier. I am a very good friend with Jermaine Hammond and Raheem Anderson. Principal at Elijah Rozier County in Detroit Public Community District. So you see the NCA, that's what it stands for, Elijah Rozier County, and I'm representing Detroit Public Community District now.
That's right, Will.
My name is Elijah Rozier. I'm here to represent you.
Yes, sir.
And I'm the man on the Sharp Blade Barbershop. I'm also a good friend of Raheem Anderson II. Just after the his uncle, pushing on the spot, and I'm representing, the Hammond family.
Repping well. Go ahead. You're doing a great job. Without further ado,
my name is Kareem Rozier. I'm here today. I'm the son of Richard Rozier, little brother of Will Rozier. I'm here to represent the family.
very good. And we'll go to our studio guest, who's Miami living room, Las Vegas status. Raheem, what you got for us?
Well, I'm Raheem Anderson, the originator, father to Raheem Anderson II, father to Cameron Williams, father to Kamari Anderson, husband to Kimberly Anderson, who you go back a long way with.
That's right.
Jermaine, we the pushing stroller brothers. We the guys who was pushing the strollers while everybody else was telling us to come and do some crazy stuff. And we was determined for these days to come. You know, we saw it before they happened. So blessed to be here.
Oh man, we're so happy to have you here. And it's funny you talk about that as far as people want you guys to do different things. Jermaine, Raheem, and growing up in Detroit, there's so many opportunities to get into so many different things. But clearly you guys made a decision early on that you were going to focus on being family oriented. And I see your offspring here. You know, we got to shout out Jazzmaine down at Norfolk State representing as well. We can't leave Jazzmaine out, as well as the other members of the family that are here. So, Jermaine, first of all, let me just say thank you for sponsoring today's pregame event and watch party with SPS. We're going to be taking on Michigan State versus Ohio State. So people who are watching, they can stick around and get the post-game interview. But can you just kind of talk about the relationship and how things got to this point? And as we go, I want to be able to get the guys to be able to chime in. But, Jermaine, just from your perspective, what has that been like?
So they actually told me to stay focused on that goal lot of distractions on the road trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve. So just keep them encapsulated with good hearted, strong motivation. So the projections are wonderful. The thing you see is like in order if you're going to get the same type of people, the same type of motivation, hear a lot of the same type of things that you would say yourself. And my little kid is the same way that comes to the chair and they can keep all of that. So that's really a really great thing that we do. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of it.
Absolutely. Elijah, you know, we all share a relationship with Western Michigan University. Obviously, that's what we all kind of intersected. And it's almost like that really doesn't mean anything because the relationship has been bigger than that. It's like, yeah, we met at Western, but it's kind of like it was like a brotherhood to begin with. Talk about what it was like being a kid in college, Henry Hall, shout out to Henry Hall, shout out to Donez, I know you out there somewhere too. Being a kid in college, making these connections early on, and how these end up being a relationship that stuck with you and are part of your whole life cycle right now.
Yeah, so one of the ways for me, just kind of think back on what you said before, coming up in Detroit and seeing some of the things that I saw, I knew that I was getting one. And my dad, not necessarily being in my life, I knew the type of dad that I wanted to be because I longed to have a relationship with my own. So by the time I got up to Western Michigan and having 18 years of a very strong mother who played both mother and father, and knew when to do it. I went up there with a sense of roots. I went up there with a sense of understanding who I was and what my goals were. And the people that I met along the way that kind of encapsulate that same thought process, we kind of met.
Right.
And it just so happened to be quite a few guys that were right here in home. So those are some of my best friends. We got there at 18 years old, and we would just talk and rap and have debates and do all kinds of stuff. But then they had now we would make it on the higher note because the way he was raised was very, very similar to the way I was raised. And I knew I was different. And he didn't judge me for being different. He was like, oh, you don't look at everybody else.
Right.
They're all right.
Right.
And so to me, it was like, we don't do what everybody else do. So we had our own little thing with everything because we had that thought that we were completely different from everybody else. And we made moves different from everybody else. And we were able to articulate why it was important for us to make the kind of moves that we made.
Now, you make a good point when you talk about making different decisions, because we all know when you go to college, there are a lot of things that can happen that can derail you, get you caught up. And that's also a time where you can go and kind of be somebody you may not have been, good, bad, or indifferent. As you sit here with your sons, you know, and I said, let me just flip to the sons. How does it feel, Khalil? Congratulations on becoming one of Detroit's finest. I remember seeing you going through the process and you kind of handled it. You was like, hey, I won't say it was easy work, but you were like, hey, I'm going to get this done. What does it feel like when you sit here now and we're talking about the relationship between you and your dad and all these other men and women in your life? What does it mean to put you, based on the position you're in right now?
I'm just thankful. I look at it, I'm pushing to go through the process because knowing that this son is naturally, we want to be able to talk to one of the city is the easiest to live. So I'm thankful to have that question that I have. Being a police officer, really shows that I'm thankful and all because I look at how certain people live, and I'm just thankful that the life that I have, you know, I can't go out and judge people. So I'm just thankful all in all.
I get it. Before I get to let me go back to Raheem. Let me bring him on. Raheem, please give us your thoughts as it relates to the relationship with these guys in the room with us. How does that come about? How would you explain to somebody how you guys are doing right now?
Well, the first thing, you know, as a young man growing up into the city of Detroit, you can pick your path. You can pick your path. The path could be doing everything that everyone else is doing around you, or you can choose to say to yourself, this can't be it. You know what I'm saying? It got to be something. You got to have the courage to dream that, that this can't be it. So that being said, I believe that's how we all have kindred spirits. How Jermaine and I met. Jermaine and Elijah both went to Western Michigan with my wife Kim. So it's funny how you tie into that as well. I just happened. Kim and I got together, and I was managing a honey baked ham. You know what I'm saying? I'm the youngest manager in honey baked ham history, all this stuff, all these accolades. And Kim was say again. I had the plug. I was the plug, and people didn't know that ham and honey baked ham make turkeys too, right? I was the plug, man. I got a car with a whole ham. What you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Because it was funny because just to touch on that a little bit, people didn't really see those hams unless they got it from their boss. So I elevated in the company because most of my clients were business owners, and I was treating them well. And so I got job offers like left and right, and they was following me around. You know what I'm saying? So it was a blessing to be 21 years old and be a manager of something so incredible. But getting back to how Jermaine and I met, I was taking Kim walking Kim to her car when we met, and I was just happened to be managing the honey baked ham up the street on 13 Mile in Southfield. And she told me that her dad, she had a real estate company, and she was walking to her car in the alley. And so I started coming down there earlier and earlier and earlier. I was so intrigued. Fast forward, I wound up working there. I wound up leaving honey baked ham, and I started the mortgage company. And Jermaine walked in the office. It was like, Jermaine had already been in real estate doing this thing. And Jermaine walked in the office and asked me about this real estate deal. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? But it was just like, I was so determined. I was like, I wanted to know what he was talking about. So I just dove all in. I put, between Honey Baked Ham and Saturn Financial Group at the time, that was my college. And by the way, fellas, I spent 10 years up at Western without enrolling in one class. I don't know if you know about the homemade fraternity, but I'm part of Creep Fi Creep, man. So I know pretty much some of the same people y'all know. That's crazy, man. This is a small world.
Let me pause you for a second. Right on the game. Michigan at the 13-minute mark, Ohio State leading Michigan State 15-11. This is the SPS Edge Watch Party at the Sharp Blade, located at 18625. We're going to be checking with the chat too before I give you the fellas. Kareem, you getting shout outs already in the chat. Ray Kelser, official extraordinaire, and all of our good brothers saying what's up to everybody. He said, tell Kareem what's up. He love your game. Then he want to tell you too, Raheem. You can't believe you slept on that ham and turkey hookup. So, you will have to back around. This is Lindsay Hudson, SPS. We want you guys to check in with us. We're going to be having a watch party with the fellas. We got a great group of guys. We got Raheem right here. We got the fellas as well, Raheem. Just another thing, too. You're representing Raheem II. Your son is made his way up to the University of Michigan. What has it been like for you seeing him on his path and helping him take his next steps to success? One of your 3 sons in total, that is.
Yes. So, I mean, the thing about Raheem is just his hard work, to go along with every step of the way. He just worked hard from day one, and just laser focus, and he listened. You could talk, you could show, but the best, I would say, reward is to be able to see the fruits of your labor. You get these kids, hey, I don't know who came up with the idea of being a parent, but my parents didn't tell me everything, right? They ain't tell me nothing, man. We just put God first, man, and just poured into him, and just see him be prepared. You know what I'm saying? Is better than anything, because he's right up there. And so the first week of school, he's finished his first 2 weeks already. He went mid-year. First week, I'm like, so how was class? I'm thinking like he about to tell me, man, because he took 14 credit hours already. He was like, Dad, there's only 4 classes. I'm like, bet. But if you need something, the good news about where he is, they have a tremendous amount of support for education, and they have a schedule, rigorous. Their educational schedule is just as rigorous as being an athlete up there. So I think he's ready.
I want to get to the rest of the fellas right now. Just appreciate you staying with us. You got Jordan and about Matthew all the time. Jordan, tell me what it's like when you listen to your dad and uncles talk. What does it feel like when you hear their conversations as it relates to how to make their life and what you can do to be successful?
I feel grateful and then happy at the same time. Cause like they went through it too. I'm like, damn, my dad went through this. Wow. Like it makes me like want to do it too, but I'm taking like slow. I'm not even there yet. And we're just thankful for them and they sacrifice they install. Cause my sister, she's good. She's in college. My brother good. He working, and then it's just time for me to step up and be the next one.
No, that's before I get to Kareem, I'm kind of want to go back to the comment Raheem said about who tells you how to be a parent. But then fortunately, you got this collective group, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Collective is defined as done by people acting as a group. That you got this support group kind of helping you, and you're able to sit back and just like, okay, I'm getting this information compared to having to just get out there and just put yourself in a situation you don't need to be in. Kareem, I go to you, nephew. What's good, man?
What's up?
You represent Portia Lake St. Mary's. You want to get back out there in the court, I know. Tell me what it's like having a support group, even with your older brother, I know, who can be a great role model as well. What has it been like having this support group?
Man, it's been great. Since I've been, 2 or 3 years old, my father seen that I had a gift, and he invested his time and money into me. And not only that, he's always put me in the best positions at all times, and my mother too, as a team. I've seen, my brother had some rough times in his high school career, and seeing him go through that and take it like a man and look at him now. Now he's back, studying on those guys who didn't want to show him the love back then, and I'm so proud of him too. But I look up to these guys now. Jay, this isn't his first shot. He's told me, I thought it was his first shot. He told me it wasn't. And I come in this shop all the time since I've been, since he's been cutting my hair. And every time I walk in, he's dropping a new gem on me, giving me better knowledge, more knowledge. And, when I listen to him, all I can say is, you're just like my dad. And, I thank these guys a lot. I thank these guys a lot, man, for real. And my dad, he's a hard-working guy. He's a hard-working guy. And, like I said, these dudes, they make sure I'm good at all times.
No, that's good. Let me hold on for a second, a little audio issue. That's on me. Well, no, I'm happy to hear. Hold up 1 second. Try to change. Sorry, guys. We're okay. Raheem, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. We're going to work on the audio, but I think that's good. But no, I appreciate what you just said, Kareem, as far as having that. When I was talking to you guys, when we were putting this together, we talked about this term called the collective. We kind of laughed about it, but just by the definition itself, collective is just what we said when you done by people acting as a group. Why is it a city like Detroit, and I pose this to Jermaine, and we can go from there, where you got so much talent and so many parents want their kids to be successful. Why does it seem it's always like wheel and spokes, everything going out, as opposed to people kind of investing in? And I know it could be a lot of different reasons for that, but what do you think?
From my experience, and I'm the father of Jazzmaine Hammond, softball player at Norfolk State University, graduated from Renaissance, and really just looking at Renaissance in a sense. I think that a lot of times it's just a lack of knowledge, like you don't know. And the people that do know don't share. So being a part of the collective, you have an arena where you can call people and all you get is positive motivations on a continuous basis. Talking about softball is probably not the subject that a lot of brothers is going to be open to the way that I talk about it. But that guy over there in his Miami Beach house studio, I can call him and talk to him all day. In fact, he seeks it out. Having this guy, we talk for hours about the smallest little things. So for my kid trying to get a little girl from Detroit to go Division I is not something that you can really speak to people about necessarily, right? Because it doesn't happen often. And then
or if I could add, they don't want to hear that. You know, it's one thing to say I can't relate, but I don't want to hear about the challenge you have with your daughter getting ready to go play college, play softball, and I'm sitting here bump on the stump. I just want to add that part.
No, that's true. That's true. It's like, it's almost like brag, right? People look for likes. People look for, you know, they think about things in terms of what you have as far as what you're bragging about, but aside from or not recognizing that really you're just sharing. So with this collective, when they look at or they listen to my stories, they're thinking about their own stories. So not only are they adding confidence to me, they take it right home and say, look, this dude went through this with Jazz. Look, you gotta pay attention. You gotta do X, Y, and Z. So I think that really having something like that to at your disposal push you in a beautiful place. He's brought his kids to me, Raheem has brought their kids to me and allowed me to, they've seen the value in it and they brought their kids to me. So he was ready for the little guy at Henry Ford. Because I told him, what you gonna do with that little cat at Henry Ford? He was ready for the little cat at Henry Ford before they stepped to him. When Jazz walked out, she was ready for college. She was ready for all the things being a young black woman when you're dealing with coaches and people looking at you like you're not good enough. She was ready to meet that challenge. So I think that all these things play a part. I mean, you can do a whole podcast on Kareem and Jazz's relationship because they're always pushing each other. He stays on her Instagram, so he knows a day in the life of college, a day in the life of a Division I athlete. Before he even walked to college, he knows what that's like. It's because the book is open. I think when I was in high school, you would see guys go off to college, and they'll do their little year semester, they come home, you say what happened, they don't really give you a real story. Yeah. You really don't actually know what happened.
Right.
So for me, myself, I share it because I want that book to be open. I want that book to be open. I don't want kids to go through the things that my kid went through. Or even when they meet it, I don't want it to defeat them.
Right.
So you open that book and you share it, and you leave something for the people coming behind you.
Elijah, let me go to you on that point. And we're looking at Michigan State down 5. Currently, it's at the 12-minute mark in the first half. I know Kareem is keeping an eye on that team and that lineup. You know, it's you know what I'm saying. When I get Tom Izzo on the post-game interview, I can't tell him who I'm sitting with because he's gonna say that's a recruit violation. But we're going to let you know we represent the Sharp Lake. Elijah, always had a great amount of respect for you. Very prudent person. Elijah's type of dude, he gonna show up at the run and say, now before we run, let's make sure this is right, this is right. You're laughing, but those sons laughing hard. They're laughing real hard, right? I say that out of respect because you're a very prudent person, you're very disciplined. Tell me what it takes for someone like you with your personality to quote unquote hand your son off to someone else to have that same type of access communication. What does it take for you to be able to say, hey, am I right? I know you. Am I right?
Oh, man, it takes a lot because ultimately you got to be real with yourself. And my children are my most prized possession. So I have to know that the person that I'm handing them off to feel the same way about my kid that I feel about my kid. So as a principal, when I go to work every day, I got 400 kids, and I treat them all like they're mine because I know that they have parents that care about them. And I know what I would want for my children, so I treat them like I would want somebody to treat mine. And that's all I look for in a coach, is knowing that you're going to continue to push them in a manner that will exemplify the way in which he has come up, both of them. The only way that I can be comfortable is knowing that if something happens, you're going to think as a father on how you're going to handle my child. Because you're going to think about what you would want for your child. That's a very, very important concept. And I don't think that everybody has that. And so it becomes difficult when you're looking at whether it's a high school, whether it's a college, whether it's wherever, you have to make sure that they can continue to help your son grow into the man that he should be. And that becomes an important aspect.
I'm going to go to Raheem real quick and pose the same question. This is going to come to Jermaine as well, and then the fellas going to get on it. Raheem, tell me, to Elijah's point about handing off your son to someone else or being able to entrust someone else with imparted knowledge. What has that experience been like that, especially when you, like all these guys, have high-profile students and student athletes?
Well, I just want to say, first of all, great point, Elijah, man. You know, that's why we are, you know, we have kindred spirits. The perspective, the thing that I sought out, you know, I heard someone say you gotta have a village. It takes a village, right? But what they neglected to say is you got to have a say-so in the village as well. You know what I'm saying? Because if you have a certain philosophy and a certain, you know, goal or goals that you want for your children, I have to scrub the village first. You know what I'm saying? I stay, to be honest with you, I stay sucker free. I don't have any suckers in my camp, right? And what I do is I go forth and
go back to that real quick. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I heard you when you said scrub the village. I got it, but can you expound upon that a little bit more?
So what I mean about scrub the village, I go ahead and I see who's at least teaching the same type of things, have the same mindset. You know, I'm not trying to put anybody in the box, but you at least have to be moving the same way so that when my kid, you know how kids are, you know, we've all been children and your parents tell you something and then you don't really get it until you hear from somebody else. So what's been working for me is just make sure that I have the people with the same ground, the same stability, the same, you know, the same fortitude. So that way the same message will be delivered, maybe delivered a different way. It'll fortify what you put into your kid. You know, if they hear it again, they're like, man, my daddy just been telling me that. You know, my mother been telling me that. And it's been working. You know, I scrub the village because, and then they might not be the same one, but it might be something that I see that my kid might need too. You know what I'm saying? Something that they might need to go forward with, especially as a young man.
I get it. And I think people really miss out on that. Jermaine, I want to come back to you, especially in your profession, you know, being a proprietor here at the Sharp Leg, which is a beautiful set. I'm sure LeBron and the Undefeated go contact, like, man, when can we get access to that set? We work on getting you in here, and I appreciate you bringing that in. So when you hear everybody talk, because being a barber, you're like the central focus of information, right? You know, you hear everything. When you hear people talk about what they want to do, it seems to me everyone has this idea they want their kid to go pro, understand themselves, but they'll put all the money, time into all these outside people, the names, the trainers, the coaches. I'm not taking anything away from anyone in that profession, but I consider myself part of that profession too. But how does someone filter who they need to go with if they don't have access to a collective? If their closest friend isn't Elijah, if the kids your daughter hang out with are, you know, Khalil and you know, Kareem and whatnot, you know, how do you filter that?
Well, and again, going back to collective, because I watched what he did and I watched what was important to him. I think what people miss is the life lessons that go along with the whole thing. If you put your basis in things that will teach your kid outside the sport, then it's kind of a win-win. So I think people they're so focused on like the game, or they're so focused on making it in a specific sport, they forget that they're raising a child. So the sport is really only teaching life, because that's what you ultimately want for your child, is life lessons. You want them to improve as people. That's why he can play sports and he'll walk right through police academy, because he didn't hoop. He took all the things that he needed to learn to be a good sports athlete, and then just took it right into that. So he didn't have to. It was easy for him to correlate the two. So I think that's what people miss in it. I think when you picking people, you don't want to pick the dude that's sitting there drinking and acting a fool to teach your kid because he's good at basketball, because he's going to teach them some things that you don't want them to know, which is going to actually take them backwards. So, but if you look for people that can, you know, supply multiple things, then it's a win-win. And I've seen Raheem do that, and I've seen him do it.
Well, let me make sure I don't miss out on including the real MVPs of this story. You got a significant other, the spouses. Shout out to Kim. Shout out to Glenda. Shout out to Sharice. Like, I don't want nobody waiting for me when I walk up out of this. Talk about what's the deal. That's why Raheem laughing, because you know. So, Khalil, you're the big brother right here, man. What is it like from your perspective as a young man that grew up in the city, seeing everything that the city has to offer, good and bad, having this collective around you, and then compare that to some of your peers who didn't have that? Talk about the difference.
So the difference is, I mean, I grew up with a good father, good background, good family, good supportive family. I always knew how to distinguish who I wanted to hang with and who I didn't want to hang with, what was good for me and what was bad for me. I was taught at a young age to be rooted into who I am. That's why, like Uncle Jay said, like, basketball is not the only thing that it shows you how to walk through life, kind of, and between the hard work and waking up early and workouts and just going through it as you're tired. So I know how to distinguish and cipher between who I mess with and who I don't mess with, because all people aren't good for you. People smile on your face and then turn around and bite you in the butt. So I'm very good at that. Before I was a police officer, I played basketball. I went to 3 different high schools. I would piggyback off what my dad said when handing your kid. I went to 3 different high schools, and the last one, shout out to St. Mary's, Coach Colbert, he took me in my junior year and really, you know, he molded me into the player and person that I wanted to be. Him and my dad had father-like qualities, just alike. And he really, outside of basketball, he really looked out. He take care of his students. St. Mary's is a great school. I probably should have went there my freshman year, but I don't have any regrets. But St. Mary's college platform shows you how to be a man. You're on your own. You have to work and get it on your own. So transitioning from that into being a police officer, what I see now is I'm just thankful. I'm not better than anybody. I just turned 20. I joined the academy when I was 18. So a lot of the people that I encounter on the street were in the same age round. And I try and speak wisdom and knowledge from the guys that I've learned from and just try and give it to them. Because I didn't join DPD because of the badge and power and the gun. I joined because I wanted to see a change. I wanted people to know that all cops aren't bad. I came out of the city just like you. You can make it just like me. So between how I grew up and how I am now, just like these guys, I try and drop gems on people, and I try and show people that you can still make it. And I had to learn, because I always thought that it was too late. But being in the profession that I'm in, I've seen that it's never too late to make a change or become a better you. So that's how I kind of decipher between the two. And again, I just wanted to say that, you know, for everybody that's listening, don't take sports as just sports. Let it guide you through life, kind of show you and let it mold and build you into the person that you're going to be. Because that 6 o'clock or 5:30 a.m. workout is going to pay off in the long run. Even though I didn't continue playing basketball because of injuries and stuff, I still get up early. I know how to grind. I know how to get to work. I know, and it's not just about the money, but I still do it because I hustle because of the basketball show. So that's it for me.
You said a lot in that, man. I just want to touch on that for a second before I go to Jordan and also Kareem. One, I was going to ask you, knowing what you know, what is it like when you're out here on the streets? Ray Kelsey say, "Amen, young brother. I'm showing you love." Ramon showing nothing but love. Appreciate you, Ramon. Ray, do you feel like you're speaking the foreign language to some of these young people who are like in your peer group when you meet them on the street and you try to come at them in some way and they're looking at you like you're crazy? That's one question. And two, talk a little bit more about that 05:30 wake up that you did for basketball that I'm sure you probably have to do in the academy and now, compared to people who, I don't want to get up early, I'm sleeping in and whatever else. Let's talk about that for a second.
So I really, when I'm at work, I try and talk to people on, I'm still professional, but I talk the language that they understand because growing up in the same community. So we kind of see eye to eye as opposed to other officers. And I really feel that when I talk to them, they don't look at me as looking down on them or as being better than them. That's one. That 5:30 workout, it was killing me. I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to get up, but I knew the type of person and the player that I wanted to be. I never wanted anyone to outwork me. And out of all 4 years of high school, even now, nobody can say they outwork me. Between weight room, running, whatever it is, you're not going to outwork me. I'm just a hustler. So now, the 5:30, when I was in the academy, it was like, man, I'm tired, my body's beat, but I've been through this before. That's what I kept telling myself. I've been through this before. And you just take it day by day, one foot at a time. And you know, and when I looked up, it was over. 6 months went by, no hair. It went by quick. And now that I look back on it, I feel like that I made a great life decision. Not only because when I made the decision to stop playing basketball, that's a big decision. You grew up playing basketball for a long time, and that's something that I knew that I loved. But between the injuries and everything else, I'm like, something got to give. And I knew that I didn't want to go into my adult life in debt. So I had
That's
to.
your daddy talking to you, huh?
Yeah. You got to take that gym. And I didn't want to, so I had to figure out how was I going to go to school and make sure that I wasn't in debt, but still make sure that I just wasn't in my dad's basement, you know what I'm saying, being a leech. So DPD was when I got paid and I got schooling at the same time. So I got a win-win. So that 5:30 work got paid off in the long run. So now overtime, stand up, and still hitting the gym, it all paid off.
To Jermaine's point, he said, kids sound like the other kids, they sound like, you sound like your dad. Everything you just said, oh, you just gonna be in the basement, you gonna be a leech? I'm just saying, that's your dad all day. Hey, Jordan, you get the benefit from these relationships, man. Talk about what the relationships like, not just with your uncles, but with your cousins, with, you know, people who are like your brothers now. And how do you benefit from their relationship compared to just somebody you may meet at school or someone you may, quote unquote, meet in the street?
Well, with my school, well, I don't really see a lot of people like my cousins in my school, or I don't even talk to them because I'm in my own space. And with these people right here, I feel like I can look up to them and see what they did. I can do it because I can do it. I'm going my own way though. I might not just like follow them. What was your other question?
No, just saying, what is it like having that relationship with them, like you said, where you don't have to deal with people out in the neighborhood, you can just go to your cousins?
Oh. Well, I never really had to deal with anything outside with my cousins because my dad kept me sheltered. I never was really out on the street or whatever. But I did play basketball in my neighborhood. He put me in a nice neighborhood.
Shut up. Yeah.
I can see that in my neighborhood because I ride my bike around my neighborhood too, and I don't see nothing wrong with it or nothing. And then I always used to hang around with them when I was younger too. We used to always play together, play basketball with them, have fun. It was whatever with these two. I could go over to their house anytime, spend the night. they can come over, spend the night, and we just have fun. So I wasn't really thinking of negativity or nothing like that. It was just all fun and love.
Yeah, you touched on some good things when you talk about the neighborhood your dad put you in, which plays a lot. I know I'm a native Detroiter, proud Detroiter, didn't grow up far from here, but I live in East Lansing now. And I often reflect on, you know, where I live and the things I don't have to deal with. And that says a lot about you as a parent. Looking at Reem, it's 23-30, Michigan State down by 7. About 6 minutes left in the first half. At halftime, we're going to be joined by Austin Cooper. He's a power lifter. He's going to tell us an amazing story about some competition he had. Reem, talk to me, man. You know, you hear your brother talk, you hear your cousin talk, you hear your dad and your uncle, man. You know, and you are probably about to get the green light pretty soon for basketball to start back in Michigan. You know, I've heard it on good authority, probably within the next week even. So you'll be able to kind of finish up on something and kind of take yourself to the next level. So talk about all the things you've been hearing from your brother, your dad, your uncles and cousins, and what does that do for you as far as you getting ready for your next step and taking your next trip?
Well, first I want to touch on, you know, my brother's story and everything that he went through. I was right there with him. I mean, seeing him do that, man. He a fighter. He didn't give in. He kept going, and proved others wrong. And trust me, there's been times where I didn't want to go to that 5:30 or that 6 o'clock. And he was right, Green, let's go, you gotta go. Or, you know, my dad getting on him about not pushing me the right way. And that's one thing that I will say that Khalil has, you know, done for me. Even with being a police officer, he's at every game. He's taking off to be at that game. He's going to find dates to make sure that, you know, he's there to support me. And I appreciate it a lot. You know, because I look up to him. That's my big brother. I look up to him. So, you know, my dad, like you said, St. Mary's, you know, it's a great place. You know, I'm ready to do something big this year. Hopefully we can. We have a great opportunity. You know, this year is my junior year. You know, the recruiting process has been great. I've been having coaches from everywhere calling me. I'm just really waiting for that green light to play, like you said. And I'm just excited to be able to, you know, have a gift that I have to play basketball.
I got a question, man. I got a picture up on you right now. It's a picture of you at Callahan laying the ball up. Are you grabbing yourself as you lay the ball up?
D's.
Like, for real, I mean,
Hey, you know what I'm saying? That's swag.
Hey, E, was he stunting on him like that? No, he was doing that for you. He was doing that for you to stand. Like, look at me, big bro.
No, man.
You know, but look, on a real note, and we're going to take advantage of this, Elijah, I want you to jump in too. And Haim, I know you out here, you can kind of give us some perspective on this, as well as Jermaine with Jazz. We're watching Michigan State play right now. They're having a tough time with Ohio State right now. The score is 34-26. Ohio State has really kind of pulled away, it seems. How do you feel your relationship growing up with these young men that you're sitting with, along with your cousin Jazz, has prepared you for the opportunity to potentially play at Michigan State or Ohio State, or let's just say be a impact player in the Big Ten? That's for you, Ring.
I mean, a lot of people like to talk about my size, but I've been growing up in a way where size doesn't matter as long as you got heart. And my heart is the biggest thing about me. Like, I'm passionate about the game. I love the game. I feel that I can go anywhere and play, no matter the stage or wherever it's at. And like I said, the recruiting process has been amazing for me lately. And, you know, I just thank God. And I thank God for real, because God didn't give me the height, but He gave me the heart to be able to believe that I can do what I want.
You know, here's what I say about that comment about your size, and I know you may be used to saying it, but if anybody has watched you play for any brief amount of time, if anybody is out here, they will quickly not mention size. Because this is not me having a relationship with you. This is not, you know, your dad being my guy. Just objectively speaking, your size is not a factor when you play. I mean, everyone knows that. So anybody who can make that comment is really uninformed. And I know you're probably used to saying it because you've been conditioned to say it so much, and from a psychological standpoint, it just may be a trigger and you say that. Size is not a factor with you. I've seen you on the court. I see the impact you have. I see how you check and damn near bully other people. So that's not it. I want to go to Raheem. I'm going to come back to Elijah and Jermaine. Raheem, you talk about what it's like being able to, you know, motivate your son to know that he can go to the next level and play. Particularly in this case, as we talk about Kareem, you know, looking at a Michigan State or a Big Ten school, and the same thing with your son representing Michigan, you know, making him feel good enough that he can play on that level or any level.
Well, first of all, the thing, like you said, the size situation. So Raheem was just blessed. He was a, you know, real big kid, and his first year ever in PAL was the year that they lifted the weight limit between tackles. So he was always a big kid. You know, he didn't really play with his brothers a lot. You know, Raheem watched movies, he studied, and he played golf. You know what I'm saying? And when he was about 7 years old, you know, he said, "Hey, Dad, I'm a football player." You know, I'm like, "Okay, yeah, I know. You know, one day you're gonna play." "No, I'm a football player right now." And it was like, "Oh, snap!" And so, even in baseball, like he had his first baseball coach, I used to, I'm like, "Why are you teaching my big kid how to bunt?" You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he gonna get through out every time. Let him swing away. You know what I'm saying? But so instead of just murdering the coach like I wanted to, we said, "All right, you about to be the best bunter You about to bunt. That's what coach wants you to do. So Raheem, man, he got to the point where he was laying down the bunt. He was laying it down. He was laying that bunt down. And so those barriers that he had when he finally was able to, you know, as he started getting in better physical shape, and, you know, just to watch him enjoy like just being able to run, you know, and bunt and actually making it to first base. And so we turned all of his barriers, everything that was put before him, into victories by the struggle. I love it when the kid has a struggle, man. Like, you know, you're a beast out here. Come on, Rozier. You look like you about 6'5" to me. I don't know. Hey, just because I don't be at them games, man, you don't know, man. I'm using everything you got, Elijah, to train these boys. Look at this. He don't even care. You know what I'm saying? I like the fact you grabbed them and let them know that's what grown men do. We let them drop. You know what I'm saying? hey, as you completing the play though, as you running the show. And so that being said, his life has prepared him for that. You know what I'm saying? And the biggest thing is us. You know, you could take your kids, you could talk to them till you blue in the face, but if you're not showing them how to win, he's seeing me making through victories every day. He's seeing everybody saying, "Oh, your dad don't know what he's talking about. He ain't got this degree, he ain't got that degree." But then he'd be like, well, I ain't never needed a one for nothing. My daddy's sweet. You know, I took him to, when I go and give out food and help develop food bank programs for situations. And when I go teach financial literacy, I had them with me. You know what I'm saying? I showed them a different part. And then, you know, the other thing, you know, not to take up all the time, but one of the things I think that was really good for him is to see me being a coach and he watching me study film and putting practice lessons together. And he would be like, what's this? What's that? And then he got a good understanding at an early age how to break down film. I know coaches that don't know how to break down film yet. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's just been prepared. It's just been the preparation. It's just all we needed was him. And his desire.
I love that. Elijah, I'm going to go to you. Talk about kind of piggybacking out on just Raheem, but Kareem's statement. What is it like for a parent that has to help coach his child in the coaching past quote-unquote limitations, so-called size limitation, or just being first in the family to talk about doing something like this? From a parent standpoint, how did you manage that?
That's the thing. It's not just about basketball. It's about everything. So the last thing I said to them that I still say to my son before they go to class when they were in school, ask good questions, do good work, learn as much as you can, and represent us well. So that representation, you know that there's certain things that you have to stand up to. There is a standard. Whether it's school, whether it's basketball, whether it's flipping coins. If you want to be good at something, I'm not going to allow you to think that it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. So the things that people want, that everybody wants, usually are hard to obtain. So if you want those things, you got to be willing to put in the work. My son could have said he wanted to play ice hockey. If that's what you want to do, then we're gonna get into this ice hockey. He could have said, I want to play golf. They could have done whatever it is that they wanted to do. Real quick, Khalil came and he talked to us about 8 months before he graduated. He had options to play at the next level. And he said, Dad, I've been going through these injuries. I've been working hard to come back just to get injured again. You know what? I'm ready to move on to my next passion. And I know you and Mom always talk about, you know, going to college, but I think this allows me to get some experience and not have to pay for college so I don't have to be in debt. Because I'm in debt, you know. And so when he said that, I had to think about it. Like, this basketball life is not for me. I did everything to help support you. And if you're looking to transition, then let's get into it. So it's really important for kids to understand that I'm not inside of the box. The chip that Kareem plays with is the chip he's been playing with when everybody was the same height. Because it was just a certain toughness and a certain grit that you had to come with because Khalil didn't take it easy on him, right? So he beat him up and he beats their young brother Khalil up. It came with a certain amount of understanding that I want to be the best, and in order to be the best, I got to go through some stuff. Right. And that's the way he played.
Let me just stop that for a second because it's about 2:30 left in the first half. Michigan State down, scores 37-28. I do want to ask you something else before I go to Jermaine, before we wrap up for the first half. You know, when Khalil came to you, having offers on the table, he had opportunities, which is big, you know, in our community. In fact, we can go to the next level and play. How did you not make that about you and say, hey man, you gotta play? And then Khalil, how did you have the comfort of saying, knowing that you can even go to your dad with an option? Because normally people be like, man, my dad wants me to play, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna play, so on and so forth. So talk about that a little bit.
You know what allowed me to be able to do that is sports. The same way I taught them. When you playing as a team, you gotta check your ego at the door. You gotta check your ego at the door for the benefit of the whole. So I've always told them, these 5:30 in the mornings, I'm right there with you because I gotta take you. These Saturdays and Sundays, I'm right there with you. When I'm flying out of state or driving across the country, I gotta sacrifice too. But this is still for you. I never allowed myself to believe that it was for me.
Stay right there.
Yeah.
Because that's when it goes in two different directions. Boy, I done did this for you, so you go do this for me.
Right.
And I don't know if that has a lot to do with you being a person who is your own man, your own career, can do your own thing, compared to saying, you know, Khalil, you got to go to the league and take care of us.
Right.
And it kind of, and that's, so what was the difference between one way or the other?
Because I knew that I was teaching them to be men. When we transferred to ultraweight St. Mary's, the thing that I told Khalil is that if you leave now, you may not be able to play and you have to sit out your junior year. He said, Dad, I think we need to do it. I said, okay, now once we do this, there's no regrets. That's why we talk about not having regrets. Because what men do is we think about things, we make informed decisions, and then we ride with it with no regrets. And so when he said that to me, I'm raising a man. Men have to be able to make informed decisions and live with the decisions that they make. So when he said that, and that's what he wanted, at first I told him, because he told me right after his last high school game, I said, take a couple of weeks to let your mind be at ease and think about it, and then we'll. And so when he came back and he was on the same thing and being a police officer, a detective, and one day an FBI agent, this has always been his passion too. So it was like, I don't want to inflict my fears onto you. You got to be your own man. That's the way I raised you. So that was very important for me.
Khalil, what do you think about when you hear that?
The beautiful thing about it is my dad always taught us and my mom is to have an open relationship with the both of them and come and talk to them. I was surrounded at Virtual Lake by people who had all different types of backgrounds. When I came to my dad with that decision, it was tough because I knew that I wanted to play. It's so cliche to say that, yeah, I want to go to college and hopefully overseas or the NBA, but I had to understand and learn that everybody has different paths to being successful. So it was crazy to think that an 18-year-old, 19, 20-year-old would go to be a cop. Most 18, 19, 20-year-olds, they at college partying, living it up.
Right.
So I had to understand, and what my dad always taught me was to have a backup plan. And I had to come to a realization with myself that if I wanted to stop, then I had to know that I had to stop. Being a basketball player, I was a student of the game. And when I was taught growing up, you have to be a student at whatever you want to do, because once you're a student, I mean, you're going to be the best at it, and then you can venture on into so many different things. So being a student at basketball, I'm a student at the law. So overall, it was a hard decision because I knew that I wanted to play. The adrenaline rush, the crowd, I was a sniper, so I had to, you know what I'm saying? So it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah.
But now I try and pass on what I went through and my experiences and how I was a student to my brother and my cousins and his friends, because I believe that my story can better them. I think that he's done. My brother has done a great job of taking that and playing, and he got that dog in him, that piece, because I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? I just did it, and that's just how I played it. Even now, with being a police officer, that's why I say sports can help. Because when I'm at work, I'm a beast. I get my work done.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but overall, it was a hard decision, but I knew that I could come with a sense of comfortableness and talk to my parents about what I wanted to do.
I love that.
And Lindsay, before you segue into JM, I talked to him about it. There's a lot of my stuff that I've gotten from him, and a lot of this stuff that he's gotten from me. But it was like everybody experienced it different. And what I was teaching was what worked for me. But again, just because that worked for me don't mean it worked for everybody, but you gotta have something. You know, you gotta be able to tell me something. You can't just say, well, I'm just gonna be trying to figure it out in the basement. I'm working on something in the basement. No, you gotta be working on something, and I see progress with that. So it made it easier to accept that when he said, look, I've been passionate, and I've known that he's been passionate about being in law enforcement.
And that goes back to that ongoing conversation. It's literally halftime in 1 second, Michigan State 30, Ohio State 42, 12-point deficit. What we're going to do is I want to ask Jermaine a question in 1 second, then we're going to bring in another guest, Austin Cooper, who's going to be joining us in a second. I know he's standing by for a second, but let me just get that up there. Yeah, look a little chippy right now. Yeah, it's a lot going on right now. Jermaine, we've had this conversation, and there's a lot of testosterone in that, because it's men, young men, you know, men teaching young men how to be men. But you have a daughter, so do I. And I listen to you a lot when we talk, and talk about the difference in raising a daughter. And I'm going to assume, they say you shouldn't assume, but I'm going to assume it may not be altogether different, but talk about the difference in raising a daughter to be successful in this quote-unquote man's world, as they say.
Well, before I start, giving a piggyback off of him, just to stay with the theme of the collective, he did talk to me about that, but this is my best friend. He's a college guy. I'm an entrepreneur. So for his son to come and say he don't want to go to college was a very hard thing, because that's going against the very grain that he founded on. So, and I was proud of him for being able to hear that and listen to that, because we've kind of had battles in that area, you know what I'm saying, leading up to that throughout the years. Also, just to continue with the collective thing, family is a collective. So when you have a wife and a husband, we operate as a collective too. So Jazz has a brother over her and a brother under her. And her brother he went to job route. He went to college, but he's actually working. He works at Chrysler. But he's paid his sister's tuition since she's been in school. So she's had a support system where she goes and she looks at her older brother. Right. They both have came and got in his butt on a continuous basis. They got on his head? Oh, they stay on his head. They stay on his head as motivation. So, yeah, and again, with your question, you're right. I didn't really take a complete different route to raising a daughter as it pertains to having sons, because when you have goals, you got to get up at 6 in the morning. So her getting up at 6 in the morning is no different than Khalil getting up at 6 in the morning. Sure. It's no different than Kareem or Jordan. So of course she has to do all those things. When God told me I was having a daughter, when I saw her, start studying women. A little different than what I was doing. Because for all intents and purposes, I'm on their side now. So we're not on different sides. Because that's me. You know what I'm saying? So within that study, I found out that, you start looking at, well, how do women win? How do a woman win? Right?
Can I stop for a second on that? And this is, two guys who were social guys who turned out to have daughters. You like that word, social? Hey, you like that word, social?
I like that, man. Keep it social, man. Keep it social. I like that.
Social guys that have daughters, where basically I say that to say the goal was to be almost, the predator. And I say this with all due respect, don't chime in and say, oh, Lindsay, what you talking about? Then you got to turn around and say, how do you reverse that psychology and that thinking to be that protector of them? So you talk about, you can't say, oh, man, I'm having a daughter now. You're like, oh, let me change this up a little bit, know, so talk about that a little bit.
See, because it really wasn't. I think a lot of times we make a mistake in switching gears.
Okay.
Because I am a man. I'm not gonna turn it off because I got a daughter. When I see her, she pretty. You know what I'm saying? So there's a story, man, that I really that's paramount to even having a daughter. So she was young, her first year of Renaissance, and she went to school, and it was actually the summer enrichment. And she came home, and one day I just had her phone, I looked through her phone, and there was a text from a boy.
Uh-oh.
And she was actually texting the boy, you know, we pretty much done. I ain't gonna see you over the summer, so we can just break.
She told him it was a wrap.
She told him it was a wrap. So I went to her and I said, you know, you got a boyfriend? I read the text. I clearly saw that she broke up with him. I said, you got a boyfriend? She said, no, Dad, I don't got a boyfriend. And so right then, she wasn't telling, she didn't lie, but she didn't tell all the truth because I never even had a boyfriend, period. So I made a big deal out of it, right? Right. And she started crying and she started going into her dad. I thought you would be mad. And I looked at her and said, well, if you thought I would be mad, then why'd you have a boyfriend? And she was just like, and so it's really the same thing. I would look at him and say, you gotta be real with me. Man, you got a great account. So you gonna mess our account up to lie for a boy who you don't know if he gonna be as good to you as I am? So then it progressed when she, so after that I said, well, if that's something that you wanna do, and you feel strong enough that that's your boyfriend, you should be strong enough for you to tell me that you got a boyfriend. Warming up, I have to just transition.
Sure. Yeah, warming up.
So she looked at me, she wiped her tears, and
hey, hold on for a second. What the tears do to you, man? Yeah, me neither. I tell baby, them tears ain't gonna work. She's like, man, I'm trying to.
I'm here keeping it real.
Nothing else.
Somebody hit you different, but you know some bull, no. But anyway, so I came in her room shortly after that. She had been in Renaissance for a whole while. So I'm just playing with her, like, who you talk to her for? She said, this boy I like. I said, oh, you asked for it. But I'm still strong. But it was like a cutscene where I got out like, and I just shut the door and said, but we've been able to talk about real stuff because you have to man up when she wanted it.
Yeah.
Because I gotta be there. I want you to have this knowledge. I know what it's like to be a social dude. Yeah. So I can share in that with you. You know, and I can help you with that. So, you know, and she can tell you. I mean, I respect her business, but she's taught to me about some real things. When I tell people, me and my daughter talk further, say whatever, because they're used to the norm where a female can come to her dad. Right. But I'm here for all of them.
Yeah. You know I'm the same way. My daughter's 8, and I admire your relationship with your daughter. When I called you, y'all was on the phone. Like, and it wasn't like a transaction. It was like, this is our time to talk. And, you know, I'm sharing, and I sense that, and I respect it, and I'm grateful that I got that relationship with my daughter. This is what we're going to do, guys. It's halftime. I'm going to let our esteemed panel get a break for a second. And I'm going to bring in young man Austin Cooper, who's getting ready to do some major things right now. We're going to talk to him for a second. So you guys can just take a second, take a break, stretch your legs. Raheem, we appreciate you too. And then right now, I'm going to go to the man of the hour, Mr. Austin Cooper, who's going to be talking about his upcoming events he's going to have. He's a powerlifter. That's right, powerlifting on March 12th through 14th. He's going to be in Rochester Hills. Austin, what's good, man?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good. This has been a long time coming. We've been working to get this together for a while.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, I'm checking my audio. Can you hear me okay, Austin?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. So let's see what we're going to do. We'll sit them guys down for a second. And yeah, man, it is so good to have you here to be talking to you. We've been working on getting together for a while. You got a big competition
Oh
coming
yeah.
up. Do me this favor. Tell people about what powerlifting is. I know people are going to ask me. And just tell me about what you've been working on, what you've been doing to get to that point.
Exactly. So what powerlifting is a weightlifting sport to where you are lifting the maximum weight you're able and capable of doing at your body weight. For me, I've been slowly progressing. I've been at the 240 club now about 308, and then I'm slowly got up to 275. The last weight class I was at was 275, and now I'm progressing up to 308, which is a slow progress because you never get there overnight, you know.
Right.
And now I'm working on that squat.
And this is one of those sports, man, where you kind of like all in. I know basketball players, football players, they work on a lot of different things, but you're kind of like all in all the time. I mean, that's the food you eat. You know, I see you pretty much turn your home into a training facility, to a gym. I mean, talk about that full capacity going on.
Yeah, so that full capacity is about eating, sleeping, and doing the things you need to do to prepare your body for basically the training that you're going into, you know. Because with squatting, it's the overlapping, adapting phase of progressive overload. And you have to be able to hit that squat below parallel. Just like when you bench, you don't just bench, you got to bench to pause the weight. As well as deadlifting, you're at a dead stop, and then you bring it all the way up. You know, it's those certain things.
I just put a picture up. Describe to me this picture of what's going on right here. Thank you,
So this picture is me squatting probably over 200 pounds down below parallel so I can get my feet all the way down to hold that pause before I come back up.
I get it. Now you described this picture, you working out. So what's this picture right here? This your cover picture?
This is me at the competition in Georgia. Yeah, I was in Georgia, man. Went to Georgia last year. Got to see my boy and chill out, relax, you know. I think I saw about like 10 cities or just traveling down south, you know, doing the old school thing.
Right. Tell me this. How has it been trying to stay competitive during the COVID?
It has been interesting, honestly, because I had to adapt. Before I was going to commercial gym, doing my videotaping there, completely threw me off. So what I ended up doing is buying my own equipment and just start hustling at home, right in my living room, you know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to make those type of commitments. You know, they're like, oh, if I can't go to the gym, I'm going to stop. Or, you know, what made you keep pushing, man, when there were all these opportunities for you to stop?
Because as you already know, motivation is nothingness. You know, motivation only gets you through certain parts of the area of what you're trying to accomplish or your goal. So you want to make sure you have that mind focus to where you're progressively, consistently, and determined to always strive to be prepared to do what you love to do, even if it's only for 30 minutes. To do what you got to do, get it done.
I got an awesome picture I just put up right here. Describe to our viewers what's going on in this photo right here.
This is me getting ready to squat over probably 500 pounds in Ohio powerlifting. 500 pounds at the Ohio meet Iron Dog 3 last year on October 3rd.
Wow, man. So how did that turn out for you?
It didn't turn out as best as I expected. I did walk away, however, knowing what I needed to do, because, you know, it's always a learning curve. Any meet, competition, whatever sport you're into, a failure or a loss, a win, it doesn't matter what it is, it's a learning curve. You know, you take away what you can from it, and you get better and you strive for forward.
I like that part. Talk about being in the sport that you're in. It's not a team sport. You don't have teammates. You know, you don't have like all these people to build camaraderie with. How was it like that being like individually orientated?
Because sometimes the only person you have to motivate is yourself to do the things you need to do. You're not going to always have someone there all the time. You know, my grandmother always told me, you know, what if I'm not there to help you? what are you going to do? You know, and that when that comes in, you know, when I'm lifting all that weight, you know, what's going to help me is my grandmother's in the back of my mind, but also knowing that I've been here before. I've done this before. It's all relevant to how I grew up. What did I start doing? You know, 13 years started young. Now 17 years still weightlifting. And now I'm lifting over 500 plus pounds in my own apartment that probably no person right now in this area can say that they're doing.
Hey man, I'm down in the city of Detroit right now. I'm with some great people, and I don't think nobody can say they know somebody living 500 pounds. Hey, you know anybody living 500? Okay. Everybody like, no, we don't know nobody doing that. So talk about, again, not having teammates that encourage you, that you can lean on. You know, what has been, you know, along with your grandmother's words, you know, what do you say to yourself sometimes to keep you motivated? I'm hoping you can say that in a way that whoever's listening, they can say, wow, that's some great advice to Austin said. What do you say to yourself to keep yourself motivated?
I would say during hard times, during the consideration of the pandemic or whatever issue that underlines you from your goal, is you always want to strive forward and press on to what that goal is, because once you press on to what you want to do in life, you will always strive to get better. No matter what practice or what sport it is that you're motivated to do and keep going with it, you will in the end always learn and get better, and you will adapt to become greater than what you expect to be.
So this sounds great, man. While I have you for the remaining time, I want to know, so you have an event coming up in March down in Rochester.
Yes.
Talk about it a little bit more.
It's American Powerlifting Federation, and it's going to be for the state Michigan meet. So I'm going to be going in the 308 class, hopefully to get something over what I have already done already, and hopefully to mark my goal and get over 600 squat, try to pull a 600 deadlift, and hopefully a 400 plus bench press that I know I can accomplish because I've been there before. It's already said and done.
No, I know you will. One more thing too, for someone who may be interested in getting in weightlifting, a male, female, young or old, what advice would you give them?
I would say always learn how to form and technique to doing something, but always make sure that you're consistent into what you want to learn and read up on something that you don't know, because once you get into it, you might just find out that you like it.
Austin, where can people follow you on social media?
Austin C_live on Instagram and Austin W. Cooper on YouTube.
Austin C_live at on Instagram. Okay.
Yeah.
Put that out there. And also, what are you at on YouTube?
Austin _W Cooper on YouTube.
Okay. We're gonna make sure we let people know what you got going on, man. You're always an inspirational guy. We want to keep an eye on what's going on. We want to support you for March, and we don't want this to be the last time you check in with us. It just happened to be the first time. So I appreciate you being available. Any last thing you want to share before you sign off?
I just want to say thank you, and also thank the people who being able to watch and hear my story.
Okay, well, it'll be a great story, no doubt. You keep us posted. You guys go check out Austin. We'll see you next time. Thanks, man, and good luck, okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. Yep.
Take care.
That's right, folks. Lindsey Huddleston with SPS back in the building. We are live at the Sharp Blade, that is. We are in the city of Detroit, 18625 McNichols. Shout out to the great group, the coalition. The collection. The guys are here. We're taking a break. We're watching Michigan State. Right now, they're down 12 points on the road at Ohio State. Getting a little chippy out here. It's a tough road for the Spartans right now. We had Deshaun Tate on earlier with Tate giving us the rundown the road to the Final Four. You know, we're going to work on bringing my guy Raheem back in before we get the fellas back in a second. Raheem, what's it like living in a state that is so much back and forth? I mean, every state has their in-state rivalry, but, you know, we're in the city of Detroit, and you represent Michigan. What is that like being on one side of the rivalry?
Well, actually, it's normal to me. just to touch on what the guys were talking about earlier about your kids and being supportive and raising productive citizens. At the end of the day, you want to be a productive citizen. So just to answer your question, I graduated from Martin Luther King High School, which is a rivalry at Cass Tech, and I got 2 sons at Cass Tech. So Michigan, go ahead. Say again.
You've been ready for rivalry for a while.
Oh, yeah. It was not. Hey, it wasn't a rivalry, because I was real social with the Cass Tech ladies growing up. So
Got a new word.
We got a new word, baby. And so I didn't see it as a rivalry when I was at King, but as time progressed, things happened and it became a rivalry. So and traditionally, especially when you enter into the corporate world, that's when you really see the division. The state is like, even if you if you didn't go to Michigan State, you was either with Michigan State. If you didn't go to Michigan, you could have went to Central, and you care about whether it was Michigan or Michigan State. It's like, well, what about your school? It don't matter. Some people never even seen college. It's divided. So I'm used to the rivalry, man. The one thing that I love about my children and myself is that I'm a fellowship with you. Well, no matter what school you graduated from, no matter what fraternity or sorority that you been in, or which one you support, because at the end of the day, we need each other. You know what I'm saying? So I like the rivalry. I like the fact that we can play in the media, especially with the King and Cass rivalry, because DPS is still relevant. You know what I'm saying? They don't allude to the fact, I went to King, I was an MSAT, that's math, science, and applied technology. I mean, we were trained to be the engineers, to do the things, and then I see my kids with the same training going to Cass. So they're the movers and the shakers and the people that's representing the city no matter where they land. And so in that respect, I love it. And the same thing with Michigan State and Michigan. I mean, you're not going to have a problem wherever you go in the world with the Michigan or Michigan State degree. You know what I'm saying? So the rivalry part is good for fans and keeping everybody relevant. I use Michigan State, actually, to be honest with you, because that's who my kids saw that was on top as they were growing up. So I used the curriculum to hedge their hey, this is what you need to get into school. And this is what you need to look like in order to get into school. This is what your grades need to be. This is what your test scores need to be. And so as they grew up, they go their own way. I'm not trying to micromanage my kids. You know what I'm saying? I did enough of that, and like Elijah said, and what Jermaine and I talk about all the time, I don't want you just taking up space. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Be a productive citizen. My oldest boy, he not really into school like that. He's still in school. He got his own job, got his own apartment. You know what I'm saying? He's in school to be a product developer by way of 3D printing. You know what I'm saying? And he just came to me recently and was like, "Dad, I wanted to know what you know." And the part that he wanted to know about mortgages. I said, "Well, fancy that." So coming to you soon, there's a company called Saturn Mortgage Group that Kareem Williams will be. That's his thing. He's gonna be that's his mortgage company, and we gonna train everybody, because I've been in the game since 1995. So if you need to know anything about real estate, shameless plug.
No, we put it out there.
The Saturn Mortgage Group coming up. Saturn Realty Group, which is your friend Kim. She's the broker of Saturn Realty Group, and my father-in-law is the head honcho of the appraisal company. That's his retirement, Saturn Appraisal Group. So, do me this favor. We all about promoting, like we promote the Sharp Blade right now. Put that information in our chat that you and I've been chatting on. I want to make sure I put that up there. Absolutely. But none of this would happen without the Sharp Blade. You know what I'm saying? That's the mortar. That's the keep everything together. You couldn't tell me that I didn't just talk to Elijah yesterday, because of how many times Jermaine and I talking. He talk about Elijah. Elijah, hey, you my best friend too, bro. Hey, them kids, them my nephews too. They don't know it. My kids, they're gonna, if they meet in the social setting, especially, as they go, they'll probably just link right up, because they've been raised the same. The fact that the baby became a police officer is phenomenal. First of all, who does that? you know, with everything that's going on in social media about the police and things of that nature, for you to find some place comfortable that you feel comfortable with to change, to be able to change the view. But right now, I'm not saying I had a bad view of the cops, but it got just even better just knowing the fact that you are one. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
that's phenomenal to be impactful. One of the things, you know, and I'm gonna shut up after this, that I try to teach my sons is, you know, it's one thing to command respect. It's another thing to demand respect. So you should be able to walk in a room without even saying nothing, and the atmosphere change from the impact of you being there.
Stop. Go back, and let's focus on that point that you're making. Go ahead.
It's one thing to command respect. It's another thing to demand respect.
I think a lot of people don't even know the difference. They don't think of it. Just, you know, it's semantics with words. But go deeper on that.
So it's a lot of people that talk and bark and scream and yell, respect me. But if you could be quiet in your actions and your spirit can come in and somebody just instantly respect you, is because you got your stuff together, because you stay prayed up, because you do come from good stock, because you practice it. You know, it's a different thing. It's a different, you know, that's why Raheem was able to be a captain from the 10th grade. You know, who elected, your team elects you as the captain. You don't just show up and be the captain, right?
And those people are not gonna give it up if they don't believe that. Your peer group is not gonna give it up.
And you know, it's a lot of, you know, he came in as a freshman. There was a lot of jealousy. It was a lot of this. He motored through all that stuff, and it was just like, you know, we try to promote that with our kids. You know, why not be great? And whatever it is that you do, if you're gonna sweep the floors, man, I'm the coldest floor sweeper in this boy. You know what I'm saying? Period. You can eat off my floors. You know what I'm saying? Just go in and do it. You know, go in and do it hard. Go hard. Get up. You gotta get up at 5:30 in the morning. You're not gonna outwork me. You're not gonna outwork me. Period. End of discussion.
I want to go back to the point you made about Khalil, about, you know, how great that is that he's taking this step. But I think there's something to be said about the fact that he made a conscious decision. And like all children, whether it's my 8-year-old daughter or a teenage child, you know the buzzword and the language you have to talk to your parents. So he knew enough to do his research, because I'm sure if he would have just came out of nowhere, and I know like I told you at the early part of this, E's gonna be standing there. He had the clipboard when we was at the IM hooping on some rec ball. Talking about, look, the middle too crossed. How we gonna play like that? He said, just 221. It don't matter, you know. So with that said, talk about what it means, man, to be able to the importance of being able to know what your parents expect and be able to translate that information to you. I was curious to know what you thought about that. This for you right here.
Oh, okay. So just to piggyback on what you were saying about Elijah, you know, when you raise your child, when they're able to paint the picture, right? So he painted a picture for his father, right? And so that, to me, that as a father, like Raheem painted the picture, you know, when he wanted to go to Cass Tech, because, you know, I'm a King guy. He's been wearing black and gold since he was born, you know, and he painted the picture. And ultimately the conversation ended at, he stood up, looked me in the eye. He said it from his diaphragm, not his chest. It's from your diaphragm, people. He said, Dad, I want to go to Cass Tech. And I was like, okay, keep a 4.0 grade point average, and you can go wherever you want to go. Well, he kept a 4.0 grade point average at Bates Academy.
Yes, sir.
And then he goes to Cass Tech and keeps a 4.162 to say, thank you for allowing me to make this decision, Father, because I kicked the door in. And I've changed it. So we always talking about Raheem in football. Raheem was in the National Honor Society. I was getting just as much flack from Columbia and different Ivy League schools to get him to go there as I was Michigan and Boston College and LSU and stuff like that. So to like, you gotta get me back to your question, man, because I'm preaching now.
It's fine. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get the guys in, and I wanted to bring you back in because now it kind of touched your question, Raheem, which was you went from raising a baby to be successful, and now we're at a point where we're talking about competition. We're watching Michigan State versus Ohio State, University of Michigan versus any other school. Talk about, and I'll go with you, Steve, and then we'll go through Jermaine as well, and I'll come back to you as well, guys. Talk about not only getting your babies ready to get to the next level, but allowing them to be successful in competition, kind of like how Khalil was with the Youth Academy. Talk about that for a second.
Well, like I said, the whole point of me talking about Kaz King is, just get them used to competition, even in PAL, and then by them being, Raheem is the middle child of two other young men, so he's in competition on a daily basis. So just to always put him in a competitive environment, academically at Base Academy, academically at Cass Tech, he knows about competition, so he's always up for it. He knows that he was raised King, and then he had to become Cass. So whenever he played King, it's a house divided. So just keep pressing forward. And real quick, I'm gonna touch on Jermaine Hammond, and I didn't see him. The big thing that I saw that was different for him in raising Jazz that I witnessed is that he made the bar so high for her to pick a man. You know what I'm saying? Like the daddy's footsteps is big to the bug, man. I seen Jermaine like raise Jazzy. It didn't matter what her gender was because she was down. Like whatever he had to go forward with, she bought in. And it was just like, and I've been to some.
Yeah, she didn't have to buy in as a young lady.
Say again.
As a young lady, she didn't have to buy in.
She just did it, right? And so I went to some softball games that was harder than some boys' baseball games, and I'm looking at the guy like, y'all got to step it up, man. Y'all look like, you know what I'm saying? These girls is banging. Like, you can't even hit a fast softball. You know what I'm saying? Like they sliding hard. Man, and Jazzmaine running out and diving and hitting home runs, and we screaming. It's like, look at this, let's go. Then you got the boys basketball game. This dude can't even throw. What the? Can you not catch the ball? Like, I'm tough, man. I can't. Like that. It's hard not to be. I'm not the armchair coach because I coach my kids outside of it, but I'm like, bro, how could you even put this product out here? You know what I'm saying? Why would you do this to this kid? But at any rate. Yeah, just keep them in the competition environment, from day one, and then they won't, they'll welcome it.
I like that. E, what do you have to say about next level in competition and being able to respond well to that? And thank you again, Raheem.
Yeah, the information doesn't change. The concept doesn't change, whether it's elementary, middle school, high school, college. If you want to play any sport, but because my kids play basketball, you can't play basketball and just expect that everything is just going to be given to you. Or you just the man and somebody else is not capable of coming to bite into your time or even take your position. So it's always hard work. So we stay in the gym, but then we might be in the gym and then go play with some old guys. So they can bring you down a couple notches. You might have been out there and gave these guys work, but now we going to see the old guys. And I'm talking about 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade. We were playing at that time twice a week. So it's time they would play with me when they were young, and they would, look, I got my boys, and we'll take 2 other people, and we'll roll.
Right.
So the competition element is always moving. There is no being content. You have to be able to compete at all times, because at any time, high school, college, pro, somebody can come in and take your time, or you may not even get a chance, because everybody is a beast the higher you go up. So understanding that, you got to work that much harder to not have a hole in your game.
I want to just touch on that for a second before we go to Jay Ham and the gentleman. John Lucas, famed coach now with the Houston Rockets, whatnot, he made a comment when we were at USA Basketball. He said, if you're the best player in the gym, you need to go to the gym. And I think what happens so many times, I don't think this is a knock on Detroit, this is not a knock on New York City, but a lot of times parents will continue, and maybe Raheem knows that too, they will continue to just keep you in a space where you're very successful and you're on top, compared to saying, let me put you in a position where you might have to work harder. What do you think about that?
Oh, that's absolutely true. That's why you see so many kids transfer, whether it's high school or college, because they want to be this or they want to be that, or they don't understand the struggle. And now it's like, okay, it's got to be something that's easier. I've never talked to a coach about playing time. I've never talked to a coach about my kid and who. All I ask the coach is that if my kid outplays another kid, it's going to be rewarded with the time that they get on the court.
Right.
And that's understandable.
And I believe you when you say it, but damn, I find it hard to believe you wasn't no coach. You talking about this was going on. You say, no.
If you talk to St. Mary's coach, when Kareem came in as a freshman, Khalil came his junior year, had to sit out and come in his senior year and play. And I asked the coach, if my son, because there's people that have been there 4 years. So him playing his senior year, if he's able to outplay the people that are there, are you going to play him? Or is it going to be nepotism? When Kareem came in his freshman year, if he outplays and he's competing on that next level, because now this ain't middle school no more, this is the next level, is he going to play? That's all I can ask you for. Tom Coach will tell you that right now. Wow. But I'll never say, Coach, my son got to play X amount of time. He got to do. All I want to know is he's going to be rewarded with the minutes that he's earned to be able to display what he can display in an effort for the team to win.
Jermaine, I'm going to jump over you for a second. I want to get Reem's response, and then maybe we'll be joined by Jazz in a second too. How do you feel when you know you got a dad who can advocate for your mother and father who can advocate for you? You got a big brother who's looking out, you got the whole community looking out for you. How do you feel when someone doesn't step up and step in for you compared to saying you got to do it on your own?
My dad, he always does the talking and all of that. But what he always does after doing the talking, he tells me I better be able to back it up because he can't do it. So
he said, "Don't have me out here."
Right, that's what I'm saying. He didn't have my back. Now it's my turn to show why the truth behind what he said.
And one thing to think about, man, is to make sure that we understand that my conversations with coaches was vetting to make sure that you had the same value system that I had. Because coaches sometimes, whether you're a coach or a teacher, or you don't understand the influence you have on kids sometimes. So I had to make sure that you had the same value system that I had, and that you were going to be fair. And once we got through that, I'm good.
What is it like when you show up as, first of all, let's call it what it is. I mean, for you too, man, a father, a black father in the household, they're advocating for your child and not that stereotypical single black mother who doesn't have that. And you're not calling from a different state or pop in and out. You are a fixer. What is it like for you being in that role? Same thing for you, Jermaine. I know what's going on. Jermaine kind of in a whole pattern. Jazz go pop in on this, you think? She tried. Okay, cool. That'd be cool.
She didn't get the lead.
That's okay.
She said she got it.
Okay, good. So, E, tell me and Jay as well. And I'll let you know when Jazz gets in.
I can't tell you what another person might be thinking. I know they can actually say, well, this guy is fair. He's a dad that's just concerned. If they're a dad, then they may be able to understand that. If they're not a dad, they may not be able to understand that. But worst case scenario, I'm not calling you and harassing you. I'm just asking that you be fair to my son.
But even your presence.
My presence alone, I can tell you this. I become a resource for the coaches. So I can try to come in on that end where, listen, man, my son is a part of this team. I want us to win. So I'm going to help. If it's Little League, if it's playing AAU, we need talent. There's people I need to talk to get up. I want to be able to work with you as a team so that we can all enjoy the success. What I don't like is some coaches that will try to use the kid to elevate their status, and they really don't care about the relationship or the value system that the kid is coming up with. I despise that.
Exactly. Jermaine, that's right. Go getting another person popping up. You see this face. See a little bit of a face. This Jazzmaine Hammond. I want to have your dad say a word or two. Jazz, we're going to get you on in 1 second. But, Dad, what is it like? We talk about this competition thing. I mean, the city of Rosedale Park, that's your little baseball field now, right? You can work out at all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Oak Park. But, so, Jazz is playing, I'll give you a little story. She's playing b-ball. So, no, in fact, everything starts with collective. So, I'm going to always start go back. So, Rozier over here came to one of Jazz's games. And And Jazz was playing, she's a freshman. She did pretty well. He looked at her and said, man, you gotta get that girl to travel ball. And I
want to say it like he said. Hey, man.
You always hear from the collective. So I'm like, look, man, she got to show me that shit on that level before I'm in Ohio doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, before you make the investment, yeah.
So eventually, she got a travel ball. She was playing B-ball. So she's talking, yeah, Dad, I want to move up to A-ball, and I want to do this and this. But we just came back from a tournament in B-ball, and she let the little girl strike her out 3 times.
Jazz, you hear your dad talking about you? I'm just waiting for you to
Yeah, I hear him.
Okay, good. That's all you want to know. That's
So
cool.
we ran back to the tournament. I'm just like, look, we about to take this step. I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm about to do something I've never done before. So I turned to her and I said, look, you bullshit. You letting them strike you out. You talking about you want to go A-ball and go D1 and all this and that. You playing around. And I tore her butt. She started crying. She started crying. So that ties into the difference between a little girl and a boy. She gave me some tears and she was like, Dad, I'm your daughter. And I was like, I don't care because there's expectations where you're trying to go. And it's money. And then I tore her butt. She rolled back quiet as hell after that. Now I'm nervous because I don't know how to come back from this if she say, well, forget it, Dad, I don't want to play. So, and I would have had to come back from that. So I'm about 11 o'clock, and I'm sitting watching TV, and she come in the room, and she's like, Dad, I want to work. I want to play A-ball. I want to go D1. What I got to do? I'm going to work. And it can bring me to tears just hearing that because it's like, I got goosebumps when she said it. Because I didn't know what I was going to say to, because she would have pulled my card and she'd be like, well, just forget it then, Dad. I'm good. And so ever since then, it's been like, hey, no, it's been level to level to level to level to level. You know what I'm saying? And she's been, in fact, last year, before that nice season she had, I had to ask her, I said, look, you can either be Kobe or Eddie Jones.
Oh, wow.
Kobe or Eddie Jones. Wow. Which one are you? And I don't know which one you are. I'm going to love either one. But I'm going to see. Because a lot of people on our college team is gone and they looking at her now. And she struck out with people on base. I said, that's over with. You can't do that. And you're going to have to make a decision on it. And I came in her heart. I came in her heart like, you got to grow up. It's time to grow up. And she responded.
I mean, the reality is that the way you're being hard on her is the same way a coach and the rest of the world would be. But it seems that it's difficult to take that relationship from being daddy, where you're loving and supporting, to being like, you know, this was it. You got your hand up? What's up, Raheem?
I want to
Then we bring your cousin in after that. Jazz, you up next after your cousin, okay?
I want to add to what he just said because I went to one of Jazz's games, and I ride it to this day about that game because I went and I don't know if she was I think she was in high school. I went to one of her games. And I said, you know, I'm going to ride out with you, man. I'm going to roll with you. I was a young dude, arrogant. And Jazz didn't play the whole game. I'm like, oh, Jazz, you suck. You ain't playing. You did that. So to this day, I always, look up to her because Jazz, she didn't get her first division on offer until her senior year. Right? If I'm not mistaken, junior, senior year. And it touches on Khalil. They similar. Because there was a time where Jazz, like you said, Jazz was at a low point before and he had to tell him, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to work. And like you just said about the separating from the dad to this, that, and the other, I played for my dad. And it was hard. It was hard, because I played for my dad for 2 years. And Khalil played for him almost his whole life. And the way Khalil took it was totally different from how I took it. Wow. Because I couldn't take the dad part out of it. Because when he got on me, it's like, I'm taking it out on him. Like, dang, Dad, like, what?
So you got one more time, put your hand on your hips.
Right. I understand. But with Khalil, he got on Khalil way worse than I did. Khalil, you playing like this, that, and the other. Khalil get mad and take it out on the court. So with me, it was a little bit more different because I didn't know how to handle that. But I look at it now, I look back on it, I text him to this day like that. I apologize. I Because now I hear it in the video what you was saying. So that's why I look up to Jazz and Liv so much on, the rough path that they had. I just want to add that.
No, that's good. Jazz, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm actually in the car right now, so my connection is not that good.
That's okay. It's good to see you. We've been talking about you all day long. What do you have to add when you hear your dad, your uncles, and your whole collective family talking about what it took to help you with your success?
I'm just, extremely grateful for all of them, and it just pushes me to continue to, work hard and go hard, and always find a way when sometimes it feels like you don't want to wake up for practice, or right now it's raining, so practice got canceled, but me and my roommate, we're just coming from the batting cages, and it's just it's fueling me to make sure that I always take the extra step and go the extra mile, and I am extremely grateful for all of them, the collective.
I bet the collective is it. Also, too, I want to keep you right here. And for our viewers right now, Michigan State is down 41-59 at 9 minutes and 26 seconds left. It's a rough way to go. I know all you do. Yeah, it is. And I got to talk to Tom Izzo after this and see how that's going to go, too. So, all you know is being a young lady growing up. But can you give us perspective growing up around a lot of guys, your cousins, your uncles and whatnot, and what you were able to take from them and how they tried to raise you as an athlete and a young lady? What was that experience like?
For me personally, I've always been up under my dad, so it's kind of it's been like the same. It's like I don't really see a difference, from a guy and a girl. It's kind of I can do everything that they doing, and I don't really see like the gap or the difference. But
I get it.
From transitioning to college, and seeing the way that my dad, or the fashion that he talks to me in, I've seen a lot of people, they really can't handle that. So it's, it's built like a really tough exterior, that I have, and I'm able to handle, a lot of constructive criticism, or I'm able to handle, me not doing good in the game, and me being able to, get back up on my feet, or me not taking things too big, or making, having a mistake and making it, the end of the world, it's really just made me be able to, brush things off really fast.
I like that. Well, we're nearing the 2-hour mark, and I think it's only appropriate that you were able to come in and see us. We're looking at a 20-point lead by the Ohio State against Michigan State. So that's telling me another reason why it's like we probably start wrapping this thing up. And it's not taking anything from anybody. As Josh Langford hits a 3-pointer now with 17 points. But before we go, I'll start with you, and I'll prep all of our guests, and I'm going to come back around one last time for each of my guys, and of course you to give a comment kind of summarizing, what things are for you right now, what's the next move, and just anything you want to share that our listeners can respond to. I'll go to you, and Hakeem, I'll get you next, and then I'll get all of our guests in studio, and the last person you hear speak will be the proprietor of the Sharp Blade, Mr. Jermaine Hammond, who's our sponsor tonight. So, Jazz, just give us some parting words right now.
I didn't hear you, sorry.
So just give us some words to wrap up with that can keep us motivated going forward.
Gotcha.
Now, I know this is the same person. When you came on my podcast, you was shutting it down. You was just like, yeah. What's your expectation for the rest of your academic and athletic year?
I really, I challenge everybody in this call to, one thing I'm focused on, this year is to reach my full potential and to understand what that is, and to really take another step in my softball career, and, really just tie everything together, like all of the lessons I've learned, everything that I practice, and, just tie everything together, and, every lesson that you ever learned and everything that you've ever been through, I just challenge everybody and myself as well to, tie it together and reach your full potential.
I appreciate it so much. We're so proud of you. We're glad that you came and add a little beauty to all these mean mugs we got going around here. And we know you're going to be successful. And you inspire me, because I have an 8-year-old daughter. And there's no other young lady I would want her to be like except for you going forward. So keep being an inspiration. You don't know how many people you inspire going forward. So keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, we'll see you and good luck. So that's Jazzmaine signing off. I'm going to go to Raheem right now. Right, matter of fact, my guy Kevin Marshall out of Bridgeport, Bearcat, he's talking about go blue. So that's showing love to you, Raheem. So I'm going to go to you right now for some final comments.
Hey man, Jazzmaine just made my day. That's like our daughter. But man, if I could say, I got a lot to say. So the one thing, as from a parent perspective, create the advantages, and from the youth, take advantage of the advantages that you have. You know what I'm saying?
Hold on. Take advantage of the advantages that you have.
Take advantage of your advantages. You know what I'm saying? And parents, though, you got to show them what an advantage is, though. Because so many people they think that they're victims. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's not. I was raised to, it wasn't about being a victim. It was about being victorious. So you got to celebrate all the small victories, and you got to create. I'm a lineman. So as a lineman, I paved the way, you know what I'm saying? I plowed the field so that somebody else can get the glory. You know what I'm saying?
Don't get the credit all the time.
You know what I'm saying? But that's my first down. That's my inch. That's my yard. You know what I'm saying? That's my touchdown. And when I look up at the scoreboard, that's me saying, hey, I had a great, that's like punching out at a job. And, you left it all on the table. You left it all in the plant. You left it all on the floor. You left it all in the school. You know what I'm saying? My hat's off to Elijah, man. I mean, to go from being a teacher to a principal to not, man, I mean, that's the most unsung hero ever.
And he still keep it real. He don't switch up on you.
Man, dude, I'm just saying though. It's crazy. To be able to stand in the gap and be the example and just do that for a lifetime, man, that's just phenomenal. And my hat's off to you. But just take advantage of your advantages. That's it. But the parents, you gotta come outside of yourself. Put yourself aside, or figure out to put your kids first. And you deal with yourself second, because right now, guess what? Guess who time it is in 2 more years? It's my time, and you ain't gonna be able to handle it. Where did they get a load of him, Jermaine? Let's go.
It don't stop.
It
My
don't
God,
stop.
Raheem Anderson, always, man, I appreciate you. And the last thing I want to say is I appreciate our sideline conversations. We'll be at the big game. I'll come over to the fence, and we'll have our own. And then you be so cool about it. You be like, yeah, man, it is what it is, and you know what it is, and I appreciate that, and I'm grateful for these guys helping bring us together, and I appreciate that. So with that, good luck to you and your family. Send Kim the best. Same thing to Raheem as well, and we'll see you in the soon. You won't be a stranger on the SPS podcast, and I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, it's great to be appreciated.
All right, wonderful. I'm gonna go to our guests that are in here for a second. I'll bring them back. Elijah, I'm just gonna go to you. We'll just go right down. We'll skip Jermaine. We'll come back in last. We'll go right through just some parting comments. And as I do, I'm gonna post a picture that you and Jermaine took a year ago at Michigan State, as a matter of fact. Was it the Rutgers game?
They played the Rutgers.
And so what did it say? It was all good just a week ago, right? But what do you have as some parting comments, Eve?
In the spirit of this community and the collective, so you gotta have a collective. So this is to parents. You gotta make sure you have a collective. And I'm not saying a collective in that people that will tell you what you want to hear. You gotta also have some of those people that know how to pull your coattail. When you got a friend, they'll tell you the hardest things they need to tell you, and you can accept it and accept that it's coming from a good place. This man told me a lot of hard stuff, and I done told him a lot of hard stuff.
Question.
Yeah.
How did you not say, how the hell you gonna tell me that? What's your problem? What's the deal? How did you not cut into him off of that trust?
Because he understood, absolutely, it's a trust thing, but then at the same time, his thought process, and it's just how I work, he'll give me a whole other perspective that I didn't think about. So then if you're serious and you true to yourself, then you can say, dang, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I would much rather have a friend to tell me something, and I know that it comes from a good place, than to have a friend that don't tell me I'm walking around with a booger on my face. You know what I'm saying? Tell me what it is. Don't think that I'm gonna be too embarrassed. Tell me what I need to hear.
But you said something about your own security.
Yeah.
That you're not insecure enough that your man telling you something is to go bother you compared to saying, okay, I can take that.
That's huge. Having somebody in your life, because I'm a very secure person, and as I said earlier, I move differently from a lot of people, and I don't mean that in a cliche way. I don't necessarily take the road that everybody else takes. I take the road that's best for me, and I teach my children that. Everybody think, oh, you gotta go and score 30, and you gotta be able to play defense, you gotta be able to take a charge, get an assist, down on the floor, hit the open shot. You gotta be able to be complete. So when having that collective, when he told you that I told him he gotta get Jazzy and travel ball, it's because I was letting him know that's where it's at.
Right.
And he like, man, you've been traveling with your kids since they were 5. I ain't doing it. No. That's when you get a lot of exposure. And he took that and he ran. And he was in Vegas and he was here. Right. He was all over the place. Next thing you know, Jazzmaine is just popping up everywhere. So you have to have that in your life. You have it in your immediate family, but then you have to have extended family that understand the concept. I don't call him my brother for no reason. I call him my brother because he's my family. Right. Those people that understand and can corral and want what's best, and they're not looking at you to try to find a reason to say you ain't perfect. So I want everybody to know I'm not perfect. But what I strive to do is to be the best person I can be, so that I can extend that out to my family. And so if you get to become an extension of that, that means you must be a great person in my eyes. You understand? I feel that way about you. So if I get a call about SPS, I'm like, oh, it ain't no doubt. What you need, where you want me to be. We're going to make this happen. That's what everybody has to be a part of, because it keeps you balanced, it keeps you focused, and you're able to kind of exemplify what you want for your kids. This is not made up. I didn't tell him what to say. I didn't know what your questions were going to be. Sure. The bottom line is they're answering those questions because they've been taught, and I try to walk the line as an example and as a man. So nobody's gonna love you like me and your mama gonna love you. I don't care, grandmother, aunts, uncle, they all gonna love you. But me and your mother are gonna love you because you're ours. So if I can be an example, and that's another thing, you have to walk that walk. Right. So I can't tell him be a beast, and then I go have it up.
Right. He's coming up short all the time. He's looking at you sideways.
He's looking at me sideways, right? So those things that we demand, I want them to have better than I have. But I have to be the trailblazer to let them see what men do. I found out from not having it. See what I'm saying? I didn't have that person that talked to me and gave me the advice and gave me the wisdom and told me. I had my mom, but I'm talking about from a man's standpoint. I had my uncles, but I didn't have my dad. So I was like, man, when I have kids, I hope the Lord bless me to have boys. And he blessed me with 3 of them.
What Fabulous said, somehow not having dads made us better dads.
It made us better dads.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm not taking anything away from my dad. My dad was in my life. I talked to him earlier, but it's different when they ain't right there or playing a role. We playing in our children's lives at this early point.
Every aspect. So for me, it was like, what would I want? And I thought back to when I was 14, 15, 16, and I was like, this is what I have to be for my kids. So whatever that path is, I know that I set the example for them to reach wherever. That's why they take advantage of your advantages. This is an advantage. Having a mom and a dad that understand what it is and are willing to sacrifice for your benefits.
Right. I appreciate that. Also, shout out to Marcus Garvey Academy.
You know what? I have to shout out Detroit Public Schools Community District. When students rise, we all rise, and we are definitely on the rise.
Yeah, you are.
So anybody that has children that are looking for schools that are instructionally and research-based sound, that are in a place where kids are learning at a magnificent clip, then you come down to Detroit Public Schools Community District. And for Marcus Garvey, K-8 parents of K-8 schools, Marcus Garvey African-Centered Academy, where we teach culture, self-pride, self-independence, and education. It's a huge way to bring your kids to start learning about themselves and our contributions and what we've done to make this place great. And if that's the lineage that we come from, then that's the future that we can set. So I would love to have anybody that's interested in kindergarten, pre-K, actually, pre-K through 8th grade, give me a call, Marcus Garvey, African Academy, 2301 Van Dyke, on Van Dyke and Purchase.
That's it. We appreciate that and the great leadership over there. Khalil, you heard your dad talking, you heard your uncle talking, just some final closing remarks before we get out of here. And I'm so proud of you to know that you out there. I'd rather you pull me over than anybody else.
I just got a couple things. The first thing is I want the people in our community to be open-minded. People look at me, I'm 20. And it's hard to walk in a grown man's house and tell them what to do. I don't look at it. I just listen. You know what I mean? I'm 20, but I've seen a lot and experienced a lot from growing up. So I'm able to try and help and tell people, you know, how to do certain.
And you got that thing on your hip too.
But no.
I see you here. I see right here.
Don't make me pull my thing out. Make me.
But no, I want people to be open-minded. The second thing is I want people to, when you get knocked down, I want people to learn how to get back up. Because once you get knocked down, that builds and molds you. For me personally, I got knocked down so many times, and I kept getting up, and kept persevering through. So that's 2. And 3, be yourself, man. It's some people who don't know how to be themselves. Back to Kareem and Jazz and me. I was under my dad's coaches that he coached me, and like Kareem said, I was just a different beast. I learned how to not get mad at my dad and turn it on to everybody else. So for the young hoopers that's out there who are not coachable, there's a lot of kids that's not coachable and it hurts them. They gotta learn how to be coachable and again open-minded because, you know, the coach got the best interest for you. Some of them do, some of them don't. But when the coach is getting on you, it's either A, trying to push you because he sees something in you. My dad taught me that when somebody stops saying something, when they stop saying something to you, I mean, they gave up.
That's when you gotta be worried.
They gave up on it. So just be open-minded and take, it's not the deliverance, but take the message from the deliverer. And that's all I gotta say. But I want everybody to keep getting better as a community. Kareem yesterday, I was proud of him as a Michigan and as a community, as a state. They went up to Lansing, all different colors, races, schools, whatever, and went up there and they rallied for them to play. And that was big, but I'm like, I've never seen us get together for something positive. It's only been negative. So I want us to continue to move in a positive direction. And that's all I got to say.
Very good. Shout out to Coach Kevin Marshall. He was up there, him and the Bearcats of Bridgeport. Kevin Marshall's been really supportive. And he's saying preach as you speak. He's saying preach. Absolutely. Jordan, you're hearing all your fans talk. What comments you have to leave us with?
I like hearing everybody talk. It makes me happy inside.
Hey, that's real. It makes you warm inside.
It makes me happy, joyful, and it's like all love. And I'm also learning a lot for what I'm about to do in my life, in school. And that's pretty much it.
No, I appreciate you, Jordan. And you're such in a situation to be benefiting from all this great information that your family has, just being around it, and that's a great thing. Young Raheem, what's up? Raheem, what you got for us?
I just want to touch on what Khalil said, and let's just continue to stay together and support each other, and let's keep fighting. That's one thing Uncle Jay has always taught me since I was born: is to fight. Ain't that right? When you say put your heart into it, put your heart into it. Hey, that's just a message I want to give to whoever's watching: is to always put your heart into it, keep fighting no matter what, and like Khalil said, be a leader, and I'm going to continue to do what I can to help society as a whole. Thank you for having me today.
I know, we're so happy to have you here, man, as well. Well, without any further ado, I'll give it up to the host, with the host of the man of the hour. Who gave SPS the nod, so yeah, you can come on through, and I think we've set a great standard with what's happening right here with this SPS game. Watch party right now, 4 minutes left. Ohio State leading 70-59. Probably going to be a game that's out of reach. I'm not saying it's over, but I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. I got my coach's hat on. It's just hard So with that being said, Jermaine, we want to come to you, man, for final comments. And again, thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for our friendship. And just thank you also, man, for just being somebody I can talk to. I mean, I hit him up and we kick it, and I sit back and I listen too. It ain't just that I'm talking, I'm listening. And he was really supportive of me doing a very big transition in my life, and I appreciated that. So with that being said, Jermaine, what you got for us?
Man, this is a statement that I kind of came up with, just thinking about stuff, just thinking about things that happen, things people say to me, whatever. But and I truly believe this, and I'm believing it more and more now. It's not the person that's doing all the talking that's the know-it-all. It's the person that don't listen. And I think we give that backwards. And because when I self-reflect, I think I say, well, who's my best friend? The principal. And I reflect on the things people say about me. Like, man, you think you know it all, you think you're the man, you think you're always talking. But how can this be my best friend? The other day, I started a company and I was talking to Raheem about it. And for the first time, I've known this guy 20 plus years, and the first time he said, I don't know what that is, what is that? And I was surprised, like, you don't know something? And it dawned on me that dude is a very smart human being. And these are the people that I surround myself around. And the one thing we do, you wouldn't think I out-talk Elijah. You think that? So you wouldn't think that. His wife wouldn't think that. You know what I'm saying? And so, how can you hang out, how can a know-it-all hang out with a know-it-all? That don't work, right? I tend to see people they want to lead, that they find weaker people, right? But my circle is full with strong people. So I come over his house, and it's banging all the time. I learn every time I come over his house. Every time. I was there when he was begging Khalil to hoop with him from day one. Mm-hmm. You know? So I think that we have things backwards in life. And people live on that. You've heard Jazz say, know how to use the people around you. I think it should be a class on it. Hating wouldn't exist anymore if you learn how to use the people around you, right? Because I always see great things from them. Always. I always have. One of my boys, I'm walking into the school to hoop one day, and I saw one of my guys that I've known for a long time, and he was like, man, what you doing up here? And Elijah was, far ahead, checking some classrooms, making sure there ain't no stowaways and stuff. But the dude said, what you up here for? I said, yeah, I'm up here with my man. He said, you ain't with him. and they don't know him.
I have no
This
idea.
dude's a monster. He has a suit on. He's a nice guy. Straight monster. For real. Like, not a joke. And I just think that we have to stop looking at life in this backwards way. You know what I'm saying? And raising a girl the same way. I hear her with stuff all the time, and she's like, oh, okay, Dad. So, again, it's not the person that's doing all the talking, that's the know-it-all. It's the person that don't listen. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'll just leave it, I think I'm good with that because I think all of these cats right here, they listen. I can't learn from him if I listen. He has a lot to say. And I listen, I've learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot from Raheem. That's why we're close. That's the basis of our relationship. It's just that. So I've used these dudes. I've used them. I
heard a person say we all get used, just don't abuse me.
Yeah, or misuse me.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I don't even know what's mine or theirs anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I use it. So, I really appreciate you coming in and just, allowing us to share this thing that we've been doing for 20 years. Man. We've been doing this for a long time.
Well, the good thing is I get to watch the next 20.
Yeah.
So with that, guys, it's Lindsey Hudson with SPS. We're signing off. There are 3 minutes left in the game. Michigan State down 12 points, 72-60. We're over here at the Sharp Blade in Detroit. You need to get over here to get hooked up real nice by my guy, no doubt. And with that being said, I just want to thank you all. The Sharp Blade is 18625 McNicholas in Detroit, Michigan. And with that being said, I want to say thank you guys. Thanks for everybody coming out. And we'll catch you guys next time. All right. Oh, Raheem, that's dope, man.
Yeah, I got some stuff over here.
I appreciate it, baby. Let's be with you.
Let's go. Peace.